seeing my face. My name is Audrey, and I make content about all things wellness. And today, our topic basically, I'm going to be telling you how I was a lazy Christian, how I realized I was a lazy Christian, and the lessons I have learned thereafter. So, that is what I'm going to be talking about today. The word of the day is going to be I didn't actually think about it before the live, but hope. What is hope in Shona? I'm thinking tariro, exactly. So the word of the day today is tariro, which means hope, because everyone needs hope in their life and we need something to look up to. Good morning, Alice. How are you this morning? Thank you so much for joining the live. So the word of the day today, Alice, is tariro, which means hope. So today I'm going to be talking about how I was a lazy Christian and the lessons I learned thereafter. So I think I'm just gonna wait for like 2 minutes and see who else joins. But how are you doing this morning? How are you doing on a Monday? What are you up to? Are you at work? I'm fine, thanks. And how are you? I'm okay. I decided to take a lazy day today. So I didn't work out, I didn't walk, I hardly cleaned. I was watching a very old movie from 1995. I just decided to take a break today because I was feeling tired. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alice. This is like how many years of hair? I think 2 years of hair because I shaved it bald um, December 2022. Yes. So I think I'm gonna keep it out until Wednesday, and then I will do braids on Wednesday, hopefully. I'll see if I have the energy to do the braids. How long did it take you to do your braids when you were doing your braids? I remember you said that you were at your friend's house and you couldn't join lives because you were doing your hair, and you did it on 2 days because she planted it, but then you did the spirals the next day. I want to try and do your size braids, but I want to know how long it's going to take me. Washi Suda. Hey, good morning. How are you? Thank you so much for joining. Hi, Terry. Good morning. How are you doing today on this beautiful Monday? Thank you so much for joining the live. So, Washi and Terry, the word of the day today is tariro, which means hope. Tariro, which means hope. Wow, we got 8 people in the building. Okay, everyone who's in the chat, please say hi so I know who you are. Yes, Alice, I don't know what gave me the confidence or the energy to do it, but I just decided I need to let go of the relaxed hair because my hair is actually very thin. It looks thick now, I don't know why, but my hair is very, very thin. So when I relaxed it, it looked like I had two hairs. Two. I am from Zimbabwe, Woshi, but I'm living in Cyprus at the moment. I am a Zimbabwean girl. So I'm just gonna look down at my notes so I know where I am starting from. So I'll start. Russia is here. Thank you for joining Find Me GPS. Please like the live and please also subscribe to my channel. Ethiopia is here. Nahom, am I saying your word, your name correctly? Nahom? Thank you so much for joining. I'm so happy to have you here. Alice said it took 6 hours, then 1 hour for the spiral and boiling. 6 hours, I think I can do that. If I start at, let's say 11, I'll finish at 7. Okay, I'll try and do that. I'll try and do smaller braids next time. Good morning, Dineo. Good morning. How are you doing? Shrek. Hi, Shrek. How are you doing? Where are you from, Shrek? Yeah, that's right. I'm very happy I pronounced it well. Thank you very much. Shrek, please like the live and please also subscribe to my channel, everyone who is in the chat. So I'm going to start now with my background and why I called myself a lazy Christian. Amber, good morning, Amber. How are you doing? Please like the live as you come in, and thank you so much for joining. Um, Drake or Kendrick? Both, because I like some Drake albums, and I think Kendrick is very poetic, so both. Have you seen the Shrek movie? I've watched, I think, 2 or 3 Shrek movies. I like Disney movies and animations, so yes, I did watch 3 movies. Well, thanks. I'm really happy to hear that, Dineo. Now said Shrek is Scott. He really is. You can really pick up the Scottish accent from Shrek. Okay. What about India? What about India? What do I think about India? India is a beautiful country. My mom worked in India for about, I think, 3 years, and she has great memories from there. I love the Indian food as well. I love Indian food. I love Indian spices. So I don't know exactly what you mean about India. Shrek, do you think my user is funny? I guess so. I don't know if it's funny, but I think it's nice. I like cartoons, I like animation, so I think it's cute and I think it's nice. So let me start on my topic. Why I called myself a lazy Christian. I grew up in the church because both from my mother's side and my father's side, they are all Catholic. Ah, okay, because it's a roar. Because he roars. Yeah, that is actually funny. And given that both my parents went to church, and so me and all my sisters on Sunday mornings, we definitely went to church. And I was in Sunday school and I actually danced in church. The first experience of me dancing was in church. I was one of those girls that wore the white dresses and we had like the basket full of flowers, and we always used to dance in church. And I actually met my former president, the late President Mugabe, because of dancing. And I think I was 6 or 7 years old, but because I was one of the leaders of the our parish in dancing, he greeted all of us, and I didn't wash my hand because I was like, I said hi to the president. The president shook my hand. So those are some of the early experiences that I have with church. And then when I got a little bit older, we also had a gospel dance group, and that was really fun because I had a performance at this big grand hotel in Zimbabwe, and it was because of dancing. So my love for dancing started there. So I just want to paint the picture that I was a churchgoer. I went every Sunday. Sometimes it seemed forced because I was a child. And then when I started working, when I was in university, I loved going to church. I would go there to feed my soul and feed my spirit. Dineo is greeting Terry. Terry is greeting Dineo. Muzdog, is that how you pronounce your name? Good morning. Which country are you in? I am in Cyprus, but I am from Zimbabwe. Are you in Barbados? Is that where you are? Okay, so that is basically the background of how I grew up as a Christian. So one day I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw this couple. They are Kenyan. One of them is Kenyan, one of them is from Uganda, I think. But they're a couple, and they were speaking about their testimonies because the wife was deep into the other side, which is not Christianity, and the husband was also he was an artist, but he was a secular artist, and then they both converted to Christianity, and then they got married, and now they have this show on YouTube that talks about testimonies and they share the word. So I saw their video on TikTok and then I started watching their videos on YouTube. They were so intriguing for me because I've said this before. I grew up in a very sheltered environment. My parents did a good job of not showing me things that are not Christian, things that are not harmful to children. So when I see things outside of that, it's intriguing for me because I just want to learn and I want to know information. But through watching those videos, I realized that I didn't have the best relationship with God, the best personal relationship with God. And it's from those videos that I decided that I'm going to start reading the Bible for myself. So I'm going to take a break here and go into the comments. Moose Dog said, no, you're in the UK. Okay, but are you originally from Barbados? Quentin, good morning, Quentin. How are you doing? Dineo is greeting Quentin there. Dineo, hope you're well, Ndlovu Kazi. What does Ndlovu Kazi mean, Quentin? Because Ndlovu is elephant in my language. Well, not my language, but in Zimbabwean Ndebele. But Ndlovu is elephant, and then Kazi is like lady. It means queen. Okay, so I don't know if in South Africa you guys do totems, but my totem is an elephant. So my mom calls me Mandlovu, as in baby elephant. And so I didn't know that meant queen. That's beautiful. That's actually very beautiful. Dino, I'm well, thanks, my dear brother. I hope you're well too. Yes, we hope you're well, Quentin. Fragrance. So basically, you like the church because of the social activities and not the ridiculous dogma. I like the church because of what it does for my spirit. I like it because of what I learn about myself and what I learn about the world. And unfortunately, there are some churches that have taken Christianity outside of the church. And that's actually why I want to speak about my own journey as a lazy Christian, because I feel like my journey has taught me a lot of things about what Christianity actually is outside of me being dependent on any particular church. Thank you, Shrek, for coming back. Thank you. So the next thing I want to talk about, okay. The next thing I want to talk about is what I then learned when I started reading the Bible for myself. And let me tell you, my eyes were opened. I grew up with a kiddie Bible, which had a lot of gospel stories. It spoke about a lot of Bible, I think, parables, and it also had stories like Noah and all the big stories. So I knew of the Bible, but I didn't actually read all of it throughout, right? And so I decided to read it from Genesis. Now I'm still in the Old Testament, but I'm almost done with that. And I have started understanding a lot of principles that I didn't know before. So Chloe says hi. Shrek said, I love Jesus. Yes, me too, Shrek. Thank you very much for sharing that. So it's beautiful when you read it yourself. Hey, it really is. It really is. And I feel like that is what we are meant to do because it is actually our food. That is our bread and butter, and we need to have that every day in order for us to always be sustained. So, reading through Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, I understood a lot of principles about what we practice today, but I didn't know where it came from. For example, last week when we were talking about tithing on Lungi's live, um, I I think it was Lungi's live or Nonzu's live that we dwelled. Yeah, it was on Lungi's live. So we were talking about the concept of tithing, and I read and I understood where it came from because a lot of people, a lot of the Israelites, the 12 tribes, had farms, and they had their source of income were farms and cattle and, well, sheep. So rearing and farming, that was their source of income. And what tithing was back then was you leaving the outer part of your farm. So if you're going to harvest, you're going to harvest inside, and then you leave the outer part of your farm for the people who didn't have the great harvest that season, so that no one would go hungry. And then when they gave the ministry of priesthood to the Levites, they couldn't then have their own farms or their own animals. So the people would bring the tithe to the church in order to provide for the Levites. And from that tithe as well, the poor would come and eat. So the whole concept of tithing is for us to help each other out when we don't have. So we know that most priests or pastors, they don't have any job outside of ministering. So we have to bring the tithe to help them with that. And from that tithe, the ministers and the pastors are also supposed to help the needy inside the church. And tithing can also be you giving to the poor or the needy, because that is where the concept of tithing came from. And I was saying in the other life that unfortunately with human beings, right, you can corrupt any good thing. So at the basic level of family, human beings can corrupt family by not being there for their children, not being there for their siblings, not being there maybe even for their parents, right? So something that is good can be corrupted by humans. Just like church and Christianity can be corrupted by humans. And it's very hard, and we were having this discussion as well, that it's very hard for some Christians, and I'm going to speak from my own testimony. It was very hard for me to see some of the things that I shouldn't have been following simply because I was not reading the Bible for myself. I was a lazy Christian because everything that I knew from the Bible were either from stories, from videos, because I used to watch a lot of cartoons about Bible stories and Bible videos, and from the readings that we would read on Sunday. So I was a Christian on Sunday, and all the rest of the week I was not actually working on the Christianity. And the only way I know how to do that now is to actually read the Bible for myself. Dr. Amy is in the building. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, thank you. Dr. Amy Dineo is greeting you. Yes, so Dr. Amy said we should not be hot or cold. We can't be lukewarm. Exactly. And unfortunately, I think that the society has normalized so many things about Christianity. And that's why, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of other religions look down upon Christianity because Christians don't actually practice Christianity. Most Christians that I know, I don't know about everyone else, but most Christians that I know, they don't read the Bible for themselves, or they don't read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. They know verses, they know scripture, they know the commandments, they know the gospel, but they don't actually know the full Bible. And because of that, it's easy to be led astray, or it's easy to not feel spiritually fed, and therefore you can't have the fruits of the spirit because your spirit is actually not fed. Okay, let me move on to my next point. um okay, yes, so we also, some of the other principles that I learned whilst I was reading the Bible are, for example, I listed a few things. I spoke about tithing. Something else was business, right? We live in places where we strive to get a good education and get a job. And this is well and good. But I also noticed that in the Bible, we are encouraged to have multiple streams of income, to mind our own business, and to yes, Dr. Amy, unfortunately, I was such a lazy Christian. So having multiple streams of income, having many businesses, or having your own business, because that helps us to build the community. If I have a business, you have a business, the next person has a business, it means that we help ourselves and our families, and we also help the people around us. So I always refer back to Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 31 woman who would wake up early in the morning. She would tend to her business. Her family loved her. Her children loved her. And because of that, I see that as an example of something that I would want to do. And a lot of people in the Bible, when you read about how they went about business, how they went about trading, you would understand that we are meant, unfortunately, the society has taught us that Christians should be poor, or when you follow religion, it means you're going to be poor. But it's because we actually don't know the principles inside the Bible, which means that we are meant to be wealthy. When you read the Bible, it's always talking about the wealth that comes from God, the wealth and the wisdom that comes from God. So I think that is something important to point out as well. And that's why I noted down business. Good morning, Ole. How are you doing this morning? Thank you so much for joining the live. Sunday Christian made me laugh. Everyday Christian it is. Yes, every day. Christianity is a lifestyle. It really is, Dr. Amy, and it touches on everything that we do. Everything that we need to survive is in Christianity. But unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people that I know, including myself, knew that when we were learning about Christianity. Didn't Jesus himself tell people to sell everything and give it to the poor? Exactly. Exactly. So we are meant to help the community out. We are meant to imagine a world, let me just put it this way. Imagine a world where we didn't overfill our own pockets, and we actually considered everyone else around us. And given to the poor is not just about feeding them one day. It also means you pass on knowledge to them, you give them capital to start a business, you give them a job, you give them a way of living. We wouldn't have such disparities in the world if we looked at Christianity like that. We are supposed to be in commune with people and helping them. Danelle said there was always provision for the needy. Yes, widows in the Old Testament. Exactly, Danelle. They never lacked because there would always be someone there to help. And that's what I think community and fellowship in Christianity should look like. Nompulelo. Nompumelelo. Hi, how are you? I like your voice. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like the live as you come in. And also, if you're not already, please subscribe. I talk a lot on my videos, so you'll hear my voice a lot. Okay, and another principle I saw in my readings was about idolizing. So I think the concept of idol worship, when people speak about it, they literally think of a statue, the calf, the golden calf, and people bowing down to it. That is a part of it. But what I also understood was anything that you put above God, or anything that stops you from actually praying and worshiping to God in true form, is also an idol. So anything you put and you put your trust solely in it becomes an idol for you. So maybe it is the fellowship that you have, that can be an idol. Maybe it's the trust you put in one person in the church, that is an idol. So as long as you put anything above God, then for me that is idolizing, and that's what I have seen. But let's not also put away the fact that there are still people who do a lot of idol worship. It's literally anything, either putting, yes, other than putting God first. Yes, exactly. So anything you put above God, that is idol worship. I don't have enough battery. I'm not at home. We'll catch up later. Okay, Ole, thank you so much for joining, though. I really appreciate that. And yes, so those were some of the principles that I saw in the Bible that I feel were important for me to share. And the last of that principle is that God encourages us to give to the poor, because he wants all of his people to be provided for. And something that I think was very powerful was, when you give to the poor, you lend to God. That means you will never lack. How beautiful is that? You will never lack when you give to the needy. So I think that was important to note down as well. Okay, something else I wanted to, hi Annie, good morning. Good morning, how are you doing today? The topic of the day is how I was a lazy Christian and what I have learned thereafter. And the word of the day is tariro. The word of the day is tariro, which means hope in my language. Tariro, hope. Okay, so something else, and Dineo, this also gives way to what we're talking about, idolizing. And unfortunately, we all come from Christian backgrounds where, most of us, I guess, where we put a lot of reverence into people, and we forget that we're not even supposed to trust people. We're not even supposed to trust our own understanding. So we're not supposed to fully put our trust in people either. The only person we're supposed to trust is God, because only he has 100% the best intentions for us. And also there is purity in that, because as human beings we are prone to make mistakes because of the sin that we inherited from Adam. And we have to die to the flesh in order for us to be reborn in Christ. But because we have this fight and this pull, it is more than likely that we're going to backslide, we're going to make mistakes. But when we put our trust in one person and say we are following that person because we believe in their relationship with God or in their journey with God, and they make a mistake, we are going to be shaken. So exactly how I wrote it was, people are hurt because of what they see, and then they turn away from Christianity because of human beings. It comes back to us because the word itself says, trust not in man. So I will read. Okay, so there are a lot of verses that I noted down, which is the first one is Psalms 118 verse 8, which says, "It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man." Trust ye not a friend. This is Micah verse 7 and 5. Trust ye not in a friend, but put your confidence not in a guide. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her, and lieth in thy bosom. Okay, then Jeremiah 17 verse 5 says, "Thus says the Lord, cursed be the man that trusts in a man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departs from the Lord." Now, from my own experience, I feel like I have put my trust in the people that I believed were supposed to guide me. And when they made mistakes, I started to question a lot of things. But when I realized that my relationship is personal with God, I understood that human beings are just that. They're just human beings. I can't expect them to be God. I can't expect them to be Christ-like because they are human beings. But when I put my trust in my maker, then I'm never going to be shaken again. Because yeah, I was shaken actually. A lot of times because I put trust in the wrong people. Dineo says, "What also was highlighted for me was the amount of times God forgave, and that encouraged me to learn to forgive." Yes, Dineo. So I noted down, I think, but I will say it now, that when we are saying we are Christians, it means that we are following Christ. And when we look at how Christ was with the people who hurt him, he was literally crucified on a cross. And he asked God to forgive them. On that cross, in his pain, he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Crucified. We are hurt, yes. And it does hurt, yes. But not to the point of crucifixion. But he still asked his Father to forgive them. So that is very powerful, Danielle. Very, very powerful. Good morning. How are you doing today? I'm doing well. I'm taking a rest day from everything. So I didn't work out. I'm cleaning just here and there. I'm probably just going to cook, but I just want to relax today, and I'll start my week officially tomorrow. Yes, we serve a merciful God. Yes, and that is what we also should reflect to each other. Because when we say we are Christians, I think that it is our behavior and how we treat other people that should draw other people to Christianity. Because you always have these debates online where people are saying, "Oh, Christians do this," or "Christians do that." But that is not what Christianity is. What people do is not what Christianity is. They just use the name of Christianity to mask whatever else they're doing. And like I said, to err is human, right? It is human to err because we inherited sin. But if we are a reflection of Christianity and people see that, okay, when they do something, we forgive them. When they need something, we help them out. When we see the poor, we feed them, or we help them, or we give them opportunities. That is a true reflection of what Christianity is. We're not judgmental, because Jesus was never judgmental. There was the adulteress who was caught. She was caught, in adultery, and they brought her to Jesus, and Jesus said, "Oh, let him without any sin throw the first stone." And he continued to write in the sand. When he looked up, everyone was gone. And then he said, "Yes, go and sin no more." Right? So even with an adulteress, he had that mercy. And that's something that I think we should also reflect. Alice said, but recently people are giving for show off. It is said that give with your right hand without telling the left hand what you did. Exactly, Alice. Ha, Alice, I have stories about this, but let me just put it this way, right? I believe truly, really and truly, that if I am giving from my heart or if I'm helping from my heart, no one else should know. But giving has, like you said, now become show off. You want to give, you want to show TikTok. You want to give, you want to be the number one person who has given in the church. In some churches, the more you give, the closer you are to the pulpit. The more you give, the better the comfort you are in church. So it has become more of show off, yes. Please excuse me 1 second, ladies. I am back. So I did say ladies and Quentin, but I think I was muted. So Alice, I agree with you 100%. We don't know the like you said, you have said one of the principles that when you give, your left hand should not know what your right hand should what your right hand has given. But if we don't know knowledge of that and we are giving as competition or we're giving to show off, we think we're doing the right thing. But yeah, it is about knowing the principles for yourself. And he said that's how it is. When the men of God we trust in misbehave, we lose balance. Exactly, Annie. And that's why we shouldn't trust in men. Never trust in men, because it really does affect us. But I will come back to that. This issue of our leaders, because I think that's also something very important. Quentin said, just keep doing the best way you know how to. Allow God to handle the rest the best way he knows how to. Don't deny God a chance to be God in your life. Powerful, Quentin. I'm going to take a screenshot because that is powerful. Where you stop, God starts. And when you feel like you can handle each situation, then you're not allowing God to be God in your life. When you worry about anything, if he watches over every sparrow, if he knows the amount of hair on your head, why should you worry about what is going to come tomorrow? Is he not God in your life? That's powerful, Quentin. Really powerful. Okay, so read the word of God for yourself. Yes, because if you follow, someone said dogma and doctrine. We need to understand that when people open churches, they open from their own understanding. And it says we should not lean on our own understanding. So some things may be misconstrued or some things may be left out because they are opening something from their own understanding. And where they fall short of something or where they don't give you information on something, you're going to know it if you read the word for yourself. However, if you don't, like me, when I was a lazy Christian, you're never going to know right from wrong. And you're going to be led astray, or you're going to put all your trust into one person, and then your faith is going to be shaken. And then you're going to turn away from something as beautiful as Christianity because you thought that being a Christian means following man when it actually means following Christ. Linda, good morning. How are you doing this beautiful, beautiful morning? Dr. Amy said, God speaks to us directly. Yes. And unfortunately, even when it comes to praying, Dr. Amy, when it comes to praying. You're going through something. The first thing you think about is, oh, I have to call sister so and so, I have to call brother so and so, I have to call pastor so and so, I have to call priest so and so. Of course, there is an element of intercession. And there is the element of when two or three gather in my name, I'm also there. But it's not everything that you need other people to do for you. You have to learn to pray for yourself. Not only when you're in trouble. Do you say, good morning, God, thank you for the life you have given me. Please guide me through the day. Something as simple as that. We have to wait for other people to pray for us. And I think, yeah, that's also something that I learned when I flipped over to the other side of being a Christian daily. So, Linda, our topic today, I'm talking about things that I did as a lazy Christian and how I have moved away from that and what I have seen on the other side. And the word of the day is tariro. Tariro, which means hope. Because, yes, we are talking about hope. I'm well, thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful Monday morning. So, another thing that I understood from reading the Bible for myself is that being a Christian means being in service. And unfortunately, this society has taught us that we should be selfish. We are taught, especially as women now in this society, that it's oppressive to take care of your partner, it's oppressive to take care of your children, it's oppressive to help them with their homework or something like that. Something as small as just showing love to the people around you. We have been taught by society that it is oppressive. Christ came. His whole purpose was to be in service of us, to die for our sins, to give that huge sacrifice. So I flipped over my mind from being taught to be selfish and I have to there's a difference between self-care and being selfish. Let me just put the difference there, because you have to take care of yourself because you can't pour out from an empty cup. But when you are just selfish, it's not normal, because number one, we are supposed to live in community. Humans are not supposed to be alone. It's not good for man to be alone. And with being with other people, we have to be in service to them. So that's something that I just thought it was quite interesting for me, something that I learned. And as we were speaking on the other live, we were talking about some of the reasons why men don't go to church, or men don't believe in church, or men are angry at church. Because, again, it goes back to idolizing. In some churches, you find that women will put their pastors above their husbands, and they are not in service to their husbands more than they are to their church. So they dedicate all of their time to the church and to the leaders, and dedicate none of their time to their family and to their children. And what that does, it builds resentment towards the church from the children and the husband. And instead of actually drawing people to Christianity and drawing them to church, people now have a mindset of, oh, anytime my wife goes to church, she will come late and she doesn't even cook for us. Or when she comes back and we have cooked, she's too tired, or she has to do something else. Because we have put too much reverence on man and not God. Because if we do follow God and we do follow Jesus, we will understand that we are actually supposed to be in service to the church. We're supposed to be in service to the ministry that we have been given by God in our own homes and our own families. So yes, that also speaks to that. I think there should be a balance between what you do for church and what you do for your home in order to draw the people at home to church. But there's a difference I also feel and I've also seen between church and God, right? You're always supposed to be in service of God, always. But you being in service to your children and you teaching them the ways of God, that is also being in service to God. You being in service to your husband and loving him and taking care of him, that's also being in service of God. But because of how the society has shown people who put too much attention to church, I feel like a lot of men start resenting church. Danelle said we need to have and share sacrificial love, not conditional love. Exactly. Love is supposed to be agape, unconditional. Yes, Christ became our supreme example. Love that, D. Morning to me. To me, everyone is saying hello. Hi, Joanna. I want to do your greeting with Louis, but I'm still a little bit jelly. Good morning, Joanna. Hey Linda, to me, Danelle, Alex, and Q. Mohadi, how are you? Good morning. Thank you so much for joining. Wow. I was about to say like the live, but we have more likes than the people who are in the chat. I'm so happy. Okay. So, okay. So the last point I have is thank you so much, Joanna. I'm really proud of my afro. I haven't worn it out in a very long time, but I think I'm gonna leave it for the next 3 days. So my last point is going to be expecting so much from people because they are Christians, but we should not place our trust in men. However, as leaders, they are held to a higher expectation, and this is why. So I'm just going to read a passage. Micah, hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining the live, and please like the live and please subscribe to my channel. So I'm going to read this passage, and this is from 1 Timothy 3. And as we were discussing before, we said that when we put our trust in men, our faith can be shaken. But on the other hand, when you are called to be a leader, there are certain things you're supposed to do in order not for the congregation's faith to be shaken. So I'm going to read 1 Timothy 3, and it starts from verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, and apt to teach, not given to wine, no stricker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous, so not violent and not jealous. One that ruleth well in his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For a man that doesn't know how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? Okay. I'll start again, Dineo. This is 1 Timothy chapter 3. This is a true saying, and starting from verse 1. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desires a good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, and apt to teach. Not given to wine or stricker, not greedy, not covetous, not one that ruleth well in his own house. No, one that ruleth well in his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride. So it means that you cannot be a new Christian and start a church or be a leader in the church, because that can lead to pride, that you just started and then you have a huge following. Once pride comes in, the fall comes next. Yes, pride and fall into the condemnation of evil. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without. So he must know how to give to the needy, lest he fall into reproach and snare of the devil. Likewise, deacons must be grave and not double tongues, and not given too much. Okay. All right. I'll read again from verse 8. Likewise must the deacons be grave and not double tongues, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre, holding the mystery of faith in pure conscience. And lest these also first be proved, then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. So, not only the bishop, but the deacons, they have to be blameless and they have to be of sober mind. Now, Alice, this one is for you. Even so must their wives be grave, not slanderers. So they must not give in to gossip. They have to be sober and be faithful in all things. Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own houses well. For they have used the office of a deacon well, purchased themselves a good degree and good boldness in the faith which is in Jesus Christ. So, I said, Alice, this is for you because you did mention that there were times that even the pastors' wives were talking about what the secrets of the congregation. And the reason why I read this passage is that we always talk about we shouldn't put our trust in the leaders. However, the leaders have a big responsibility because we as a congregation look to them to guide us and to lead us. That's why they are in that leadership position. And so they must be blameless. They must be sober. They must be faithful. They must be able to lead their own household. Wait, because of what you said last time, Alice, not because you said that there was, we were talking about leaders, and you were saying that there was a wife who was talking about the secrets of the congregation and how it can make people shake. So not only the leaders, but the leaders' wives, they have to be in a good sober mind, and they have to understand the severity or the gravity of that position, because God has placed that in your hands. He has placed the congregation in your hands. And if the congregation looks at you and you are drunkard, or you like to gossip, or you are not faithful, then this is something that is going to also trickle down to the whole congregation, and the church itself is not going to be pure. So therefore, I strongly believe that in as much as we want to be in personal relationship with God, when we do find fellowship, we have to also look at the leaders, because they have a huge responsibility. And when you choose to be a leader, you have to understand that all the people you are leading, you are going to be fishers of men, right? So you have to be a good leader in order to bring about a good church. Okay, so I'm going to go through the comments as I round up, because we are almost getting to that hour mark. Okay, thank you, Linda, for writing down the scripture. Okay, let me try. Nhlakanipo. Nhlakanipo. Did I say that correctly? Thank you so much for joining the live, and thank you for the love. Thank you. Linda said the blameless part. It's a huge, huge responsibility, Linda. That's why it's not something that should be taken lightly, because there are a lot of people that look up to you. And like we said, sometimes you're a baby Christian, sometimes you're a toddler Christian, sometimes you're an adolescent Christian. And before you get to that mature stage to give grace even to the people you look up to, in those younger stages, it's very easy for people to get shaken up and say, oh, but our leader did this or our leader did that. And then they turn away from Christianity. Or the worst people can do, no, the best case scenario is they're going to turn away from the church. That's minor, right? But the worst case scenario is they're going to turn away from Christianity as a whole, because the example they were supposed to follow of Christianity is actually full of blame. So it's very important. Why is it before me though? Alice, okay. It's from that church topic. Yes, it is. It is, Joanna. Yes, the pastor's wife. So Joanna said, some they're clouded by pride. Yes, because leaders sometimes think they are the church. They own the people. Hi. That give the wives power as pastors' wives. Exactly, Joanna. And that's why it clearly says that, especially if you're a new Christian, especially if you're just still building your spirituality, you're not mature enough, you cannot be a deacon and you cannot be a bishop, because pride will come in the way. Pride comes before the fall, and that's exactly what happened with the devil. He was a cherubim, he was a seraphim. Then pride entered, and that's what led to the fall of him and a third of the angels. Exactly. Exactly, Dr. Amy. Leadership is in service. So there's a humility that comes with service. A huge humility that God would leave his throne to come on earth to be crucified. There is huge humility in leadership, and that's exactly what we should all follow. So sad. It is very sad. And like I said, the results of that are people turn away from faith, and that's not how it's supposed to be. Exactly, Joanna. Without realizing, they divide the church, and people with weak faith stop going to church completely. Exactly, Alex. So yeah, it's a huge responsibility and not one to be taken lightly. So I just wanted to end with that. I know Mushle is not going live until Wednesday. I think Wednesday or Tuesday. So is anyone going live after me? I'm going to be leaving in exactly a minute. So if anyone is going live, please let us know in the comments. And please also say your goodbyes, because I am going to be leaving now. And yes, I'll remind everyone of the word of the day, which is tariro. Tariro means hope, and that is what we have. at that's how we have as Christians. We have hope, and that's why I put that as the word of today. And everything that I have spoken about today is my own. That's my own testimony of how I started in the church. I grew up in the church, but I wasn't I wasn't apt enough to know exactly what it meant to be a Christian because I wasn't reading the Bible for myself personally. Joanna said, because some churches have standards to maintain, that shows the church is not for everyone. They will tell how much each should chip in during church service. Now one cannot just give 10. Joanna. Joanna, I said earlier that I have a lot to speak about this because exactly what Alice said, that if you're giving with your right hand, your left hand should not know. So why should there be something stipulated that you have to give this amount? That's not how it works. And what if I don't have that amount? Is my family going to starve because I have to chip in for a standard? Guys, people gathered around Jesus everywhere out in the open. So it's not a building. The church is not a building. The church is the people and what we bring to the people. So, okay, so Dine was going at 2. This was so nice, Trey. Thank you, Mohadi. Thank you. Dr. Amy said thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Okay, Alice is going at 12. Dine was going at 2. We'll be busy today. We'll join here when I can. Okay, Joanna. Thank you for a beautiful topic. God is faithful. He truly is, Dine. He truly is. We just need to put all our trust in him. Okay, Alice and Linda. Exactly. PS to be continued. Okay, we'll put a pin in that and then we will continue that because yes, there is a lot to be said about that, Joanna. I think we need to understand that we are the church, like Dinawa said. We are the church. The church is not a building. The church is not flagrant things, gold things, rubies, or big buildings, big congregation. We are the church. That is so truth. Okay, thank you guys, and I will see you in Alice's live in an hour. Thank you so much. See you. Bye.